Well, the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut off this bracket. You can see some of these welds aren't the prettiest, but I might try to save this hanger if I can. And down on this end, now this is off the old muffler, so I'll probably cut a slot here and then try to get this off. And it's the same story with this tailpipe for down here. A little different here, where this was patched. So I'm going to want to cut this off. Again, I might try to save the hanger. I have new trumpets. And these pipes, these are going to be cut off here and here, and I have new pieces, new extensions for those. Have the initial prep work done on the exhaust. Now, these ends of the tailpipes that go into the mufflers have been crushed. So I have to think about how I want to deal with that. And I have extensions here that go on the end of each pipe. And these mid pipes and head pipe will also get one of those extensions. Now this part's not an issue. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. I weld the extensions on and then I just cut them to length. And the 2 1/4 inch OD slips into the Thrush mufflers. The issue is here, where this 2 1/4 OD also slips into the Thrush muffler, but since it's not round, it's not going to seal. So it will have to be welded up. And I don't really want to do that because I don't want to weld underneath my car. So I have to think of another method of having a leak-free seal. Well, I'm not the world's greatest welder, but I can get done what needs to be done. Alright, so what I've done is I took this coupler, I cut it off here. Now I'm going to slide this rough cut in on first. Alright, so I've got my collar set back and I marked this sleeve here so it's the same as the other side, the other pipe. So now I'll run this on, butt it up against this collar, make sure it's square, and I'll weld this up. Alright, so now I have this slipped on this far. The tailpipe ends right here. I have it butted up against this collar so it's square. Now think of this as the muffler, and you slide the tailpipe into the muffler. This collar will be square to the end of the muffler, and then when you put a band clamp across here, it should seal up. I got some gaps to fill in the back, but I should be able to do that. Alright, I have the sleeve welded on, and the gaps are filled. The most important thing here is it's airtight, it's not going to leak. And you can see here the fit up to the sleeve is square. So if you think of this piece as the muffler slides back to the tailpipe, it's going to butt up to that sleeve. I'll put a band clamp across here and that should seal up nicely. Got my chrome trumpets welded onto my adapters. Now, the chrome didn't like being welded on very much, but I got them welded on. Soak the head pipes in POR 15. You can see the flanges came out really nice. And I got all the rust off the inside. I mean, there's some pitting. And same with this one. Flanges look nice and clean. Got the inside clean. So put these away until they're needed. Generally, I lean towards Flowmaster for mufflers. But this time, I decided to try these welded Thrush mufflers. Now, back in the 70s, I had Thrush mufflers on my 442s. But I haven't used Thrush mufflers since the 70s. But with my Rallye 350, you know, this has quite a bit of nostalgia for me, and you know, some of the things I'm doing to the car are pretty old school, so it's kind of a mix of new and old. So I thought it might be kind of interesting to have a set of Thrush mufflers on the car. Looking at some YouTube videos, it looks like they sound pretty good. And so I've decided to go ahead and give them a try. And hopefully they sound good, because I'm not going to want to take them off. And these are 2 1/4 inlet, 2 1/4 outlet. And that's 2 1/4 ID. And I think these Thrush welded mufflers are a 2-chamber muffler. So I don't know if they're going to be as loud as a Flowmaster 40. I guess I'll just see once I get them on the car. But they look pretty good. So it's got the classic Thrush. I don't know if that's a Thrush or a woodpecker. It kind of looks like the Clay Smith woodpecker. But they've always had that. So anyway, been running these on the car. Going to be painting the entire exhaust system with this KBS Xtreme Temperature Coating. And it says it's stainless steel. From what I understand, it's kind of a bright metallic silver, which is fine. So I got 5 cans of that to paint the entire exhaust system. Bought some new tailpipe hangers. I got these off eBay from Motor City Muscle Cars, which I think is inline tube. They just call some of their other products Motor City Muscle Cars. Now I know those guys are Oldsmobile guys, so these should fit my car, and they're specific for cars with cutout rear bumpers, like the Rallye 350. Well, here are the hangers. They look pretty nice. So I'll get these bolted on the car. They came with bolts. It's also pretty nice. Alright, I got the right side hanger in place. You can see there's a cable, a ground cable leading to the hanger. And that's because the Rallye 350 had urethane coated bumpers, and so they ran a ground strap just to make sure all the taillights worked. In order to set the tailpipes in the correct location, I need to put the springs and shocks in the car. And the shocks I'm using are Beltex. And these shocks are 1 inch shorter than stock. And that's because I have these BMR springs in the car. Now, I installed those BMR springs shortly after buying the car 4 years ago. because I like my cars to sit low. The rear springs and shocks have to be put in place, and then the car lifted up so the weight is on the springs before mounting the tailpipes. That way everything will be in its location that it'll be in normal use. So now I got the springs and shocks in. I can go ahead and install the hangers. The pipes muffler hangers that I have 3 holes for adjustment. Now in reality, this is going to have to be trimmed. But there's an old saying. There's an old carpenter saying. I cut it twice and it's still too short. Well, so before I start cutting away on this rubber, I want to make sure I don't cut it too short. I have the left side hanger in place, and I did end up going to the shortest hole in the rubber strap. So now I'll go ahead and trim up the right side and get it installed.
I don't know if you can see the little flecks floating around in the air, but I decided I better use a respirator. I used about 3/4 of a can, and I have really good coverage.
I have the tailpipes painted. I have the adapters for the trumpets painted. So I'll let this sit outside all day and cure. The left side mid pipe, head pipe cut to fit. I have it painted with KBS Xtreme Temperature Coating. After welding this collar on the tailpipe, you can see how nice my joint is here. And when I put the band clamp over this joint, lapping it, that's going to be a real nice seal. And I also used a little bit of Permatex exhaust sealant in here, just as a little bit of extra security. So this should be a real good leak-free joint. All right, I have both mufflers secured to the tailpipes. I have the hangers tight for each side, and my heights are pretty good. My band clamps worked out really nice, and that should be a great seal. See, I'm over here, got my band clamp, and then I have the regular U-clamp to clamp the pipe to the hanger. And the mufflers look pretty good with the KBS coating. Well, I got the mufflers and the tailpipes in place. And I think I have everything adjusted about as well as it can be. Try to get the tailpipes matched up, get the clearances matched up. You know, the amount of clearance I have between the tailpipes and the suspension and the frame. Try to get that the same for both sides. Now the bends on the pipes aren't exactly the same. They're very, very close, but not exactly the same. I have the left side head / mid pipe in place. It is not secured though. I just have it loose because I'm going to take it back out when I install the starter and the clutch linkage. So it's just loosely put in place. The band clamp isn't tightened up. The right side pipe is in place. I have the band clamp tightened up. And it's tightened up at the manifold. When I get to the engine compartment and install the Thornton shorty headers, these pipes will bolt right up to those shorty headers. So the exhaust system, when I get it done here, it'll be done. So it looks pretty good. The right side is permanently installed. The left side, the head mid pipe, will come back out when I put the starter and the clutch linkage in. But I'm getting there. Well, I now have the exhaust system installed. You can see I have the chrome trumpets on. And I also have both of the head and mid pipes installed, and they're installed permanently. Well, the sun's starting to come up and all the birds are getting up. You see I have band clamps on the Thrush mufflers. You can also see I have the drive shaft installed. And I got the pipes bolted up to the manifolds. And as I've mentioned several times, when I get to the engine compartment, the car is going to get a set of stainless steel shorty headers. But these pipes will bolt directly to the shorty headers. And the clutch is adjusted. I did not install the reverse lockout for the starter. I'm going to go ahead and do that when I do the engine compartment because I'm going to have to paint up there and I'm going to have to disassemble it anyway. So, and I also have to drill out the hole in the reverse arm because it's too small. And with the exhaust tips in place, pretty much finishes up the exhaust system. Pretty happy with how everything turned out. So I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you come back and join me again.